There are so many roles within a team that makes it a winning team. Now, each of those roles had to be arrived at by those players at some point in their career. Jacques Lemaire said to me in our first training camps, we were watching the players, he said about one player, he says, that player will not make the team because he's just a sweater. I said, but he's a good player. He spent a lot of time scouting and brought him in here. He said, he's just a sweater. What do you mean? Because Jacques was more of a French guy, and he didn't have the best English. He had good English. He struggled. He said, he doesn't do something, Tom. He does everything, but he doesn't do something. Meaning, he doesn't have a specific role in the team. He saw someone skating around there. He says, we don't need sweaters in the wild. We need guys who know what they're setting out to do. We need a player who knows what his job is, and when I put him on the ice, he goes and does it. Whether he's blocking shots, preventing goals, intimidating the other team, throwing hits, winning faceoffs, everyone have a role. Someone who just go out there and play was of no use to him. Now, I'm not telling you guys not to do this age. You can go out and play and enjoy yourselves. And I'm bringing this to if you want to be really good at something. So in the NHL, you want to be really good enough to play in a team. You want to have a specific role, your gift to bring. And Jacques said, when you talk to players before training camp, tell them to do their best things. And this was anathema to me. My father always told me, if you're right-handed in basketball, always shoot with your left hand so you get better at it. If you have a weakness, then you should always work on the weakness. If you're bad going one way, you should always work on that. Instead, one of the greatest coaches of all time told me, look, if a guy's coming into camp, he has 4 or 5 days to impress me. If he's a shooter, he should shoot. If he's a fighter, he should fight. If he's a hitter, he should hit. Don't try to do things you're not good at. Show me what you're good at so I can see if you can help the team. That's the important thing going to the highest level of hockey. And I tell my own clients that as they mature. It's right around 17, 18, 19, I tell them, you're going to have to find a role to play in college or major junior to make it to the pros. So how did this affect my faith life? Well, I found out as I became more involved in the church. We moved to Minnesota, obviously we're very involved in the archdiocese there. I found that role players are very important in the church. The church does need people who are simply committed, don't get me wrong. But what God is looking for is to bring out of you the talents He calls for you. And so the same way a player's got to figure out as he goes through his age, like, am I an offensive defenseman? Am I a shooter? Am I a hitter? Am I an intimidator? Those are things they got to figure out. They find it out, they look at what they're good at, and they look at what feels right when they're playing. And so when you feel uncomfortable doing something time after time after time, that's not a sign you weren't meant to do that. That was not your game. We had a big guy named John Scott who played some years in the league, and I discovered him at Michigan Tech a long time ago, and I signed him to an NHL deal, eventually an NHL deal. I'll get your question after, okay? I thought John Scott would be a great tough guy. John Scott is a nice guy. He doesn't mind fighting. He's tough as tough as a $2 steak, as they used to say. But John didn't get up before a game and think, you know what, I really want to pound those guys. I want to make them hurt. I want to knock them next week. He would respond to his teammates being hit, but he didn't want to go out and intimidate. He struggled with this his whole career. He bounced from team to team because of that. Why is that? Because it wasn't him. That wasn't his charisma. That wasn't John Scott. Some people, I used to be told I played in a quiet rage. I played hockey that way. I just wanted to run everyone over and knock them in the next week. That was just my charisma. That's the way I play. I was a tough guy later in my hockey career. That wasn't John. So you have to discover what's right with you because you're eventually going to serve the church. The church, this is a hockey team wants to win games. The church wants to win souls. The church wants to win by getting us to heaven. How do you play a part in that? It's part of what you're doing right now. The hockey team is battling another hockey team. The Blackhawks battle the Wild in the playoffs all the time, and they always win, right? That's because I left the Wild. Right? Different there. But the first thing you got to remember is, what am I fighting in the church? So you're fighting evil, you're fighting the devil, but that's not personified as often as we'd like. We don't always know what it is. I would tell you this for your age. My advice to you, at your age, the devil works in you through embarrassment and humiliation. At my age, and for a lot of people, he works through despair. So we will give up. We will be so tired, so hurt, so unhappy with our lives, and we will give up trying to be good Catholics or trying to do what we're doing. At your age, for boys especially, and girls, you'll go through this to a degree, it's the fear of embarrassment and humiliation. I don't want to look religious. I don't want to volunteer for this. I don't want to do that. That's how the devil is working with you. Now, there's a reason for that. The devil often works with strengths we have. Back before our civilization was really built up the way it was, we were kind of, I say the herd mentality, but young antelopes and other animals like that will stick with the herd. Why do they stick with the herd? Because if they're on the outside, they get picked off by predators, right? Or they get lost. So when you're a young animal, you try to stick with the herd. So boys your age will often stick with the herd. You don't want to stick out by seeming too religious, too churchy, and all those things. And we get that. The older people aren't. We get it to a degree. But you need to fight back against that, because this is the devil's tool against you. Before you know it, you're like me. You're 20 years old, you have nothing going on, you have no meaning in life. If you want to keep that, if you want to figure out your charisma, how you can help the church, you have certain weapons at your disposal. And You're not going to do things you're totally not comfortable with that often. Once in a while you have to. But the Eucharist, confession. Confession is the strongest tool you have for boys between the age of 14 and 20. That's when you're most uncomfortable with the changes in your life, and your body, and everything else going on. I'm sorry I'm not speaking to you too as well, but I know boys better. Your whole life is changing, and you don't want to admit what's going on, how you feel, and everything else. If you can get a confession once a month, you can get through this area well. Another weapon is seeking out your charisms, we call it in church. All the saints had their charism, and their charism often found in orders. So when I talked about an offensive defenseman, a tough guy, a set-up center, a scoring winger, you have strengths you have, whether it's writing or speaking or leadership or listening. Sometimes listening and consoling is a great charism to have in the church. Each of you has something to offer the church among your friend group, among your peers. And if you can reflect on that today in adoration or rosary, think about, what is it that I feel I'm pretty good at? You don't have to be the best in the world. Something you're good at and you feel right doing is often a hint from God that that's your charism, that's what you have to offer. It might be founding a hockey camp, like some guys do. It feels good, it feels right, and it works. Well, by their fruits you shall know them. The fruits are here for people that figured out their charisma is founding a hockey camp. For yourself, I'd like you to just reflect on that. How am I going to help this team win? Well, it's by figuring out how you can help first, and then secondly, using the sacraments and grace, especially confession, to know who you are and what you have to do.